out, and just to kind of speak to what you said, is formalization of community health workers. So it's not just, and this is something we'll need direction from, I think, the healthcare space on how we can make them a big part and parcel of how we roll out universal health coverage. But then one question for me that has been posed to me at some point earlier this week was, when we talk about universal healthcare coverage, there's always we're very reluctant to talk about targeting. And somebody put this to me, and I'm putting it to the two doctors. We can do it the Makueni way, we can do it the Kitui way, where we open doors and say, hey, all of you can actually come in and get this package that we have at this pricing point. And as I think in Makueni, even if you fall sick today, you take that cover, you're already covered, right? Instead of that approach, is there an alternative where we say, because we are targeting universal healthcare mostly to the most vulnerable people in society, is it possible to target those groups? If yes, how do we target them? And because that's one of the concerns, that instead of spending money just rolling it out, can it be more targeted? If so, can it be rolled out without affecting equity, without affecting quality at the end of the day? So the various errors that come with that. And how could we, say, engage technology and young innovators around answering that question? I'd like to answer your questions on affordable housing. Agriculture is key to this country. And I don't think anyone wants to leave a legacy as somebody who totally reduced the agriculture land in the country. Because agriculture, as we know, is a backbone of this economy. It is also food, and it's also part of the Big Four agenda. I think an assurance I can provide is that part of the criteria that we use for identification of land for affordable housing does not encroach at all on agricultural land at the end of the day. Whether that is being done by the national government or whether that is being done by the county government, there is that expectation that we protect land that is meant to increase production at the end of the day. I think food security is of such importance that you cannot risk reallocation significantly to a point where you're not able to produce as by expectations of the population that you have. So it's key consideration that's being made through the identification of land for affordable housing. Number two is your solution on double allocation of houses. This is critical. It goes to so many questions. If two people are married living in the same house, can the husband apply for a house, the wife apply for a house, and they get two houses? Right? That's a question to you. We want one household, one house. So it's, do we need to get in our system that allocates these houses, because we want it to be tamper-proof, so we don't want it to have any human interface to it, how the houses are allocated. We want to have everybody in a pool, then do a lottery system where everybody gets a house based on a specific type of scoring. It has to be very random, right? So it can be seen to be favoring one person because of one reason or the other. It's you have a score based on a specific types of metrics and you get allocated a house. It needs to be as equitable as it can be. So very welcome to have that discussion, and also to connect you with the team that is working behind the scenes on putting together this housing portal that will make that allocation possible. Thank you.
Thank you. That's great. Round of applause. I think we've had a good session. Thank you, Mr. Munene, for coming. Thank you, Dr. Elizabeth, Dr. Stella, and my good friend Lee from last week. I hope next week you're also bringing in another guy. Today you've not said who you're going to bring, so we'll just be surprised next week. Maybe it might be the president, but it's good to also have him here for this conversation. I'd like to thank the panelists for really a wonderful job you've done. I think we've really demystified the big four. We've given you all the opportunities that can be there in the big four. It's now up to you to just say, I want to go and address this problem. And you can approach any of the panelists here to guide you on what you're trying to achieve. I'd like to now hand over to Tanya to take over for the next session. Thank you.
Come on, we can do a better round of applause than that. And thank you, Daniel, for a great job. I see someone here who is involved in this program through the ICT Authority. Does anyone here know the ICT Authority other than the PDTPs? The ICT Authority? No? Okay, then the more reason she should come up. Kindly join me in welcoming Ms. Eunice Karaoke, who is the Director of Partnerships, Innovation and Capacity for the ICT Authority. Thanks.
Good morning. After a discussion such as the one that has happened here with the panelists, and thank you so much, I'm lost for words, but who is ICT Authority? Right? Some of you were here last week. I tried to say, who is ICT Authority? We are a parastatal under the Ministry of ICT. We really carry the mandate of making ICT work for the big four, for Kenyans across the country. We do that in several ways. We do infrastructure across the country. We provide ICT to government. We also develop capacity, and we promote the growth of ICT enterprises. What we have to do with Hack the Big Four is that under the developing ICT enterprises, we have an innovation hub here in partnership with National Museums of Kenya. And we have partnered with eMentoring Africa, who are running this series of Hack the Big Four, so that through this demystification of the Big Four, we can begin to think about not just the problems, but the opportunities, and then leverage ICT to work out solution through a hackathon process. I hope that is why you came, and I hope that is why you will come again and again, because in collaboration with other government bodies, and we are really delighted that PDU are here. It is hoped that the solutions that you will probably go and think about and innovate around following this Hack the Big Four series will find a home in Heri Hub or some other virtual innovation centers that we are collaborating with. So when we ask the questions, it's a very good thing. Let's use the answers to think of solutions that can be enabled by ICT to solve the problems, which should hopefully not only be seen as problems, but rather the opportunity. So we are delighted to be in partnership with eMentoring Africa. Thank you very much, eMentoring Africa and other partners, and I'm grateful that you found the time to come to our speakers. That was an excellent job, a stab I should call, at really addressing the issues. And to you all, please take advantage. I am happy because I found two youngest participants. I think we lost one. Did he go? One, two, there was another one there, and I think this one is quite young as well, right? Yeah, how old are you? 11, that's really good. And we have some Ladies behind there, raise your hand. Ladies, how old are you? 8. Oh, and there's another one right there. Hi, how old are you? Wonderful stuff. So, E-Mentoring Africa, you are carrying everybody. Talk about the constitutional requirement for inclusion. Is this inclusion or what? Last week we had the 2 lovely girls. I don't know where they went. I brought company. And so just to say thank you very much. That is who ICT Authority is. And may I finally use this opportunity to ask you, when you come for session 3, because it's a series, we are building up, bring more people. Let's have a conversation around this opportunities called the Big Four, because on one hand, the government is doing so much from a policy and an environment and regulation and high-level foundational infrastructure. The opportunity sits with the citizens of Kenya to leverage to build the solutions, because the government alone.
Opportunities for youth, women, and persons with disabilities. On top of that, there's a directive that the President issued in the first term, which expects all ministries, departments, and government agencies to carry out all their procurement through IFMIS, which is run by the Treasury. Towards the beginning of this year, again, a follow-up directive related to the first 2 requires all ministries, again, departments and agencies to make public this process of procurement. So in which case, any Kenyan will be able now to start interrogating the entire process, from bidding to decision making and so on and so forth. So you're able to then to see how much somebody has quoted, the reasons that were given to select a particular bidder as opposed to another. All this is being done to ensure there's more transparency in procurement and in general governance within government. A last point to touch on again, the last point Mungai mentioned, is that all the Big Four sectors are being handled as you could say multidisciplinarian clusters. So you have all the key representatives sitting in all the Big Four clusters. So I think at the end of the day, then all these you could say related issues that we are talking about somehow are always being brought up and being looked into.
Thank you, Lee. I'll take another 2 questions, and then I'll call upon Tanya to take over and reintroduce the next session. But before I get the 2, I have a question for Dr. Stella. Now, the Big Four seems to affect healthcare in all pillars. So if it is manufacturing, if we don't sort out the cost of manufacturing, for sure medicine will still continue being expensive. If we don't sort out the question that Dr. Elizabeth talked about, we will still have so much issues with diseases coming up because the buildings being brought up are not as standard as it's supposed to be. Where do you see, given that you're now in the center of doctors trying to build a proper healthcare system within Kenya, where do you see now you guys coming into the Big Four agenda, and where do you see the gaps or the opportunities that now the entrepreneur coming up says, I want to focus on healthcare, and where does that opportunity lie for me within that ecosystem? Yes.
I think the first thing again is to just retaliate that the Big Four cannot work in isolation. I mean, talk about food security, Dr. Wala has already alluded on an effect of just building the skyscrapers on children and rickets. And we're seeing this not necessarily in low income areas, but we're seeing this in middle income areas.